Anything that you're hoping to keep not public is now public.
Like what?
I don't know. All right. Let me get this.
How do you
Hmm?
on like when you send text from your Franklin, like when you're sending text from iMessage on the computer, like how do you hit return without sending?
Say that again
Like
now.
you type something and then you want like the next line, but if you hit return, it sends it.
In a text message?
Yeah.
I mean, like when you're typing it,
So like I'm typing
you just don't
Justin
hit the return.
Jameson, then I want to hit return to like to go to the next line, 3805. But when I hit return, it sends it.
Like in a text message, you just
You're
hit the
right.
return button.
Yeah.
Yours sends it and doesn't do this.
Hold on, I'm not looking at you. Well, it on the phone it does, but I'm talking about from a computer.
Oh, it's either command return, option return, or control return. One or the other. I can never remember.
Oh, definitely wasn't that shit. Command return, it send it in the worst format.
All right, then it's either option or control return. Zach says shift enter. So I'm pulling up the chat now. Pop this
Shift
thing out.
enter. There is no shift.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
well,
there is.
Matt, is it was maybe it is shift enter. I don't know. It's either I I don't know. It's like it's muscle memory when I do it.
Okay,
So I can't
Justin
remember.
Jameson.
Oh, Chris Thomas says Oak Collection bourbon goes hard as
Gosh
fuck,
damn
Ryan.
it! It's not shift enter.
Try control enter. You can test with me. You can just like send me text messages so you don't
I
fuck
know.
up whatever it is you
Dan
have going
Lally is
on.
probably like, "What are you doing?"
Oh, I see Kyle's on. Hey Kyle, what's up, man?
Hey, Kyle.
It's my
All
cousin's
right,
husband.
so
Nice to see you, man.
control return. That's it. Control return.
Okay, yeah. I was like, it's muscle memory for me, so I can't remember which one it always is.
Franklin, Tennessee. 37064. Perfect.
Appreciate you too, Adam.
Thanks, Adam. All right, let's see. Let me go to YouTube.
I'm kind of jealous. Colorado has some really fucking cool whiskey festivals that we don't have around here.
Uh,
They have one that we're sponsoring called Whiskey and Donuts.
no one likes whiskey there, though.
Well, yeah, don't say that. I mean, we got a lot of people from Denver and Colorado on our team here, but I mean, it's a really cool festival. We get to partner with somebody and make a donut that will pair with United.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Something's going on. Like, I've had two, three people I know in banking reach out to me in the last week about trying to grab coffee with us. And I'm like I don't have time. It's not
They're
just banking. It's like
they probably just want to lend us more money.
it's not banking. It's more like people that do like mergers and acquisitions.
Oh, well,
And I'm
we
like,
can talk all day, but
I'm like,
we
I'll
as you
just
said earlier, we need more top line revenue.
yeah. But it has me thinking about those Nielsen data or some people looking at that crap.
Potentially. Like I said, it's worth having a conversation, but
I'm
it's
telling you, this 90 proofer is pretty good.
like I said, there's the 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 problem we have is we don't have really a strong pipeline of that
No.
because what we have is all the stuff
Why can't
that's
we just do a United 90 proofer?
well, that's what do you call it?
I don't know. Oh, you are
That's what I
so
say.
hung up on names. It
Well,
drives me crazy.
United Light. I'm
I
actually
don't know.
not opposed to that. Be honest with you, because
Yeah, it'd be kind of
because it's
funny.
like Bud Light became bigger than Budweiser.
Well, yeah,
So
light beer by United, light bourbon, United Light Bourbon.
I just call it United Light, Lite.
I wonder if they have that United Special Reserve. That's good.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's not like it's less calories. I don't think. I don't think a few proof points are going to do that to you. But
I mean, play the health line, say zero carbs, zero sugar. Even though United has it, but
gluten
this is for
free.
the active.
After you get done playing a few rounds of pickleball, get yourself some United Light.
Yep. Drink it with soda water.
Yeah. All right. Ready to get going?
Yes.
Okay. Let's do it because I got to be up at like,
Are you flying out tomorrow?
yeah, 6 a.m.
Oh boy.
Yep. So got to do this and then I'm already at least packed. So was doing that earlier. I had a lot of things but I do need to go and fill up my aged and ore stuff, be able to take with me.
Wow. You're gonna drink bourbon, that hot mess?
Well, at night when it gets down to like 70 degrees and you need something to kind of like end the night with, yeah, I typically do.
Oh boy.
Mm-hmm. Something to help. I mean that and some melatonin.
I don't think you're gonna need melatonin. Well, actually, you probably are. That's what you're working with.
All right, here we go. It's This Week in Bourbon, where even you can call yourself a master distiller. And here's your headlines for May 19th, 2023. Justin's House of Bourbon has had all the charges in Washington, D.C. dropped against them. Log Still Distillery launches their own single barrel program, and Jim Beam enters the single malt category with Clermont Steep. But before we get started, here's a quick word from our partners. Welcome back, everybody. It's This Week in Bourbon, where we have one master distiller, and maybe give me 5 days in Moonshine University. We're going to be the only team with two. We're going to make it happen.
Yep. All you gotta do is 5 days, and then take a whiff in the fermenter, or have Nick at BBC let you push a button and
Turn a
taste it off.
dial, whatever it
Take
is.
taste some white dog off of it, and then all of a sudden you're the next newest master distiller.
I mean, it seems like a good recipe for success. It's like we've got our liquid advisors there. We're gonna have four master distillers on the team. I mean, why not, right? I mean, it's a perfect thing for marketing. So I'm looking forward to doing that.
Having four liquid advisors, two former master tasters, master distillers, and one master blender with a 5 day certificate master distiller will create the united expression that you need, that's never been done before, and it's off limits.
Exactly. It puts it in turbo mode, is what that sounds like.
That's right.
Well, I'm trying to think. Do you have any kind of stuff upcoming you want to announce? I can't really think about it. We should have done a little pre-work before we did this. I was looking at my bullet points and I was like, well, don't really have anything to talk about
Yeah.
unless you want to give an update from the fundraiser as well.
Yeah, so we announced the fundraiser winners on Monday. It's amazing how much, once again, grateful to everyone. 151,500 I think was raised. So grateful for everyone. The prizes, it's pretty insane that you could buy a $50 raffle and have a whole entire barrel pick
I know.
or a King of Kentucky. And so it was, but it was cool. I saw that there was 10 donors that donated 1,000 a piece, which is pretty cool, awesome. I won't name them, but and then there was probably like 20ish or so that donated more than 500. So, but a lot of $50 to $100. So it's like a lot of good chances to. And I was kind of nervous about going this whole raffle route. And I think the people that donated the stuff too were too. But I think the raffle just allowed it to make it more scalable, and very happy with how it turned out. Very grateful. So it was very cool. Yeah, I don't have anything coming up. Like even Tiffany was asking me, she's like, "We don't have any events coming up planned. Like, do we need to plan some in July?" And I'm like, bourbon season's over. It's now tequila and high noons, and so yeah, I don't have anything really. We got bottling now, I think in August, so it's just now working on some stuff and getting the blends ready for August.
Yeah.
Got some single barrels I'm going through and picking, so that's fun.
Oh yeah, I'll want to talk to you after that too. I got some ideas I'll throw by you for some Pursuit Palooza surprises we might throw in there.
Well, we got that coming up. Yes, that's a big bourbon event.
Yes, that. And I will announce I will be in New Mexico on June 1st in Albuquerque, probably running around a few liquor stores, popping in, signing bottles. I'll be working with the Albuquerque Whiskey Society. I believe it's Albuquerque, yeah, or Albuquerque Bourbon Society. Whichever one. I'm sorry, I probably screwed that up. Sorry, my friends over there in New Mexico. Whether it's whiskey or bourbon, I'm going to be there. Looking forward to it and be able to do a present all of them. But like I said, I'll be around there. So hopefully you might see me running around, popping in Total Wine, signing bottles, and darting out or something like that.
That's awesome. I'll be in Venice doing bourbon signings from a boat, on a gondola. So
Like, it's
taking the
amore.
family. That's right. Taking wife and the family. 40th, her 40th birth. It's a big one, so we'll be in celebrating in Italy. I'm excited for that. And we've both been grinding like really hard since like last, I don't know, probably 5 years ago. So it just seems I'm excited to take
A
10
full
days
week
with the
off.
the
Yeah.
family and just focus on them because we've been really burning the midnight oil, as they say.
I don't disagree with you there. That's what I'm kind of really looking forward to, taking a few days to disconnect myself. But I'm always thankful to have people that are in our Patreon community and people that send us messages and like, yeah, make sure you take time for yourselves and your family because burnout will happen, but we at least see some light, and that's what we're continuing to chase after. So thank you everybody for the support and everything like that out there. So keep going by Bottles United. That's what keeps us going.
Yes, that's what keeps us burning the midnight oil. Gives us more fuel so we can keep
Keep burning more and more oil.
keep burning more in the hole. And
Keep
so,
Yeah, keep fanning the flames, as they say.
yep.
All right, let's go ahead. Let's start diving into some bourbon news. So, the Michelin Guide US has named Beam Suntory owned Basil Hayden Bourbon as its official American whiskey partner to engage consumers who consider the guide, quote, out of reach. The partnership will begin with an immersive tasting garden being exhibited at food festivals across the U.S. The pop up kicks off in June and will feature a diner inspired exterior that gives way to surprise cocktail bars serving Basil Hayden craft cocktails paired with Michelin inspired small bites. In addition to the pop ups, Basil Hayden will serve as an official partner of the 2023 Michelin Guide ceremonies and will present the Michelin Exceptional Cocktails Award. The partnership is also set to include a series of initiatives, including a sweepstakes where one winner will be offered a Michelin star weekend, including fine dining and luxury accommodations.
Hmm. Interesting. So there'll be some Basil Hayden RTDs that you'll have at
Yep,
these things.
you get that and a brand new set of tires.
I know it is strange. Like, why does Michelin like? I don't know the whole history of it. It's like, why did the Marshmallow Man get to decide that
The best
like
restaurants in the
these are
world.
the best restaurants in the world? I don't know. I don't know the history of it. It's
Yeah, I don't
fascinating.
know. The rubber pipeline somehow just intersects with culinary arts, and for some reason, people pay attention to it. You're right. It is a kind of funny history how that happened. But like I said,
I mean, hell, we have Ascot awards in ours. So I mean, I'm just kidding, Fred.
swoom.
No, I don't.
Uh,
I like poking fun at Fred.
yeah, every
He's good, buddy.
yeah, he can take it though. He loves it.
He does love it. He loves the attention, good or bad.
Here was our first headline, and that's at Justin's House of Bourbon, which you remember that had the quote in the headline said it was raided in January in Kentucky and Washington, D.C. Well, they have admitted to two violations on alcohol regulations in D.C. and agreed to pay some fines. According to an order approved on May 10th by the D.C. Alcoholic Beverage Control Board, Justin's House of Bourbon will pay a $1,500 fine for failure to keep and maintain books and records on premises and will pay another $1,500 fine for interfering with an investigation by failing to produce documents within 48 hours. The settlement also dismissed 2 charges for misuse of an off-premise storage facility and for illegally transporting alcoholic district, according to the order. The compromise came just as the board was scheduled to have a show cause hearing over the potential violation stemming from the January raid that found hundreds of potentially illegally transported bottles of bourbon. However, in an interview with Whiskey Advocate, both the Justins were on there, and Justin Sloan said the case report alleged the possibility of counterfeit bottles and counterfeit operation because of the quantities of the allocated items we had. This comes out to not be true. The bottles passed federal inspection and are cleared for commerce. All the channels we used were proper federal and Washington, D.C. regulations. We purchased the bottles from a reputable company overseas. We brought them in through TTB COLA processes and through customs, which is all completely legal.
Well, justice is served, but the bad thing is the initial report is what still people think of, and they don't hear this at the back end. So I hope this like alleviates concerns about doing business and transactions with Justin's, because it is they're great people, great facility, not a facility, but great business, reputable, trustworthy, and whatnot. And so I'm just still sad in that they had to go through all this, because it was pretty much useless. Pointless.
It was. There's like, if you're interested in reading more about this, go check out the Whiskey Advocate article. It really clears a lot of the speculations that were out there, because they talked about because a lot of this came out by in the Kentucky.com or WKYT, whichever it was Janet Patton was the author, and a lot of it was pretty damaging in regards of what she accused them of, or what she was able to pull from a particular report. However, it's like, there was all this talk of, even like Sazerac was quoting about all the Blantons that would be potentially counterfeit. And in there, they're going like, why the hell would you be counterfeiting Blantons? Like, you can't get that bottle. It's impossible to go and redo it the way that they do it. Plus, to go and rebuy a bunch of old Blanton's bottles and refill them, like, no, that wasn't a possibility. That all stemmed from because they literally had so many bottles of Blanton's and Weller that they just were like, holy crap, is this really all authentic? And yes, it was. They literally have that many bottles sitting around.
Yeah, it's a shame. And this is where I just gotta shut up and move on to the next topic, because there's so many things going on behind the scenes that I just like want to expose and can't stand about some people in this industry. So, but I can't. So, anyways, glad the Justin's got cleared. It's well deserved, and I'm glad justice. Well, I guess is it justice? But
well, they have so DC has been completely cleared. They are still awaiting everything from the Kentucky side. So Kentucky ABC apparently is still taking some time to figure out their thing. But it's funny, after all this rigmarole, $3,000 in fines. That's it. Like, okay, we've paid worse fines. I was like, we should come out. We need some bad press to put us on the front page. Like, we're the bad boys of bourbon or something like that.
I know. I accidentally like packed a bottle in my bag, and somebody saw it and said, "Can I try?" And I said, "Yeah." And then next thing I know, I'm fined for $2,000. I'm like, what the hell? Who turned me in for this?
Yeah, we don't know until you know. But
I know
there's too many rules and regulations. It's hard to keep them all up straight. But
just ask for forgiveness.
Well, keep going on here. Log Still Distillery, they're run distillery founded by Wally Dant and cousins Lynn and Charles Dant, which you may remember Wally being on the episode in our podcast before. They're announcing the launch of their single barrel selection program. This experience embodies the distillery's deep-rooted commitment to the community while inviting visitors to partake in personal bourbon journeys. The single barrel selection program includes a private distillery tour and a guided tasting of multiple single barrel selections, including Monk's Road Bourbon and Rattle and Snap Tennessee whiskeys. Guests will also enjoy small bites prepared by the distillery's culinary team, and each visitor's selected barrel will be marked with a customized bottle label. making the occasion deeply personal and memorable. The single barrel selection program is available upon request, and so to learn more or schedule a visit, please go to logstilldistillery.com.
I know people want Kentucky bourbon, but don't sleep on that Rattlesnap Tennessee bourbon. That stuff's
It's good.
it's pretty good. We may know where it comes from.
we may have, I don't know, part of it in our own repertoire. So who knows?
Yeah, but yeah, this is exciting. I love Wally's a good dude, and that log still and everything's around where my family's from, so it's very exciting what he's done for that community. So yeah, I would if I had the opportunity. Those rattle and snaps, I'd be all over that. So
It's kind of crazy that it just now they did a single barrel program. I would have thought they would have had this been kind of going all the way along, but I guess it takes a while to kind of, well, probably have enough barrels to be able to satisfy, to be able to do this sort of demand. But yeah, I'm glad to see this kind of moving along, because this is one of those things that it speaks really well to the whiskey geek. And if you want to get in there and get a barrel pick, I'm sure it's going to be, I'm not going to say it's easy, but at least there's an opportunity. So if you are always getting mad because you're getting shunned out of all the other big distilleries, well, here's an opportunity to get some good Kentucky whiskey as well. And Tennessee.
Yep. And they're probably just waiting. They've been doing a ton of construction, finishing up and polishing everything. But it's an incredible facility in a beautiful part of the country. It's right down the road for the Cecils from. So if that's another, that probably is a deterrent.
It's a selling point.
It's probably a deterrent. But anyways,
can they hang out with you for an hour if they go and do it?
Go to Howardstown, and I'll show you St. Anne's Church and Church's Point, and we'll have a good old time.
There you go. You gonna take them on a hay ride?
Yes. ATV ride with
All
bourbon.
right, there you go.
Cocktail ATV ride.
There we go. It's like let's not be drinking bourbon and go riding ATVs. That never ends well.
Yeah. I'm not driving. We'll have a sober driver.
There you
Get
go.
my dad to be the sober driver.
You got like three guys just like hanging on the ATV, just like hugged around each other. This is so much fun, fellas.
Your drink's just spilling everywhere, bobbling around the road.
I need an ice refill.
That's right.
All right. Here's actually our last news article. And this one it's actually very somewhat not even it's somewhat bourbon related, but I thought this was interesting enough that it's kind of tied into bourbon. But this is for anybody that's out there. Maybe you're like me, you work in tech, or you work in a position where you can literally work from anywhere in the world. It doesn't really matter. You're just a remote worker. And so here we go. You don't have to be a bourbon fan to appreciate all Kentucky's capital city has to offer. But if you are, and you're also a remote worker, and you're ready to relocate, well, Frankfort actually has an offer you might find hard to refuse. Frankfort, which is the capital city of Kentucky, has launched a pilot program aimed at attracting remote workers and their households to the region. The incentive offers interested individuals the opportunity to secure $5,000 in cash, a garden party, a Buffalo Trace Distillery tour with Bourbon Hall of Famer Freddie Johnson, and a Buffalo Trace Distillery gift card they can use to snag a bottle at their bourbon. Or sorry, it says of their of Distillery's coveted bourbon. I was going to say at the gift shop, but I didn't read ahead there. So additionally, the program organizers have coordinated a downtown progressive dinner through the homes of Frankfort neighbors, tour through historic Frankfort with a local legend and Frankfort native, and a welcome basket filled with $300 worth of gift cards to local favorite bars and restaurants. Plus, you also get tickets to summer movie series at the historic Grand Theater and access to breathtaking outdoor venues and activities. Frankfort is the third community to work with Make My Move, an online marketplace connecting the growing remote worker population with communities across the country, offering relocation incentives. Recruiting remote workers has become many communities' favorite economic development strategy because remote workers bring their jobs and their families with them. They add to the population and the tax base growth. They buy homes, they enroll their kids in schools, and they also take part in local activities and can make relocation decisions in weeks or months. Versus if you were to do this to a larger organization, such as a company, that could take months to years.
Interesting. What if I just want to move to Frankfort without being? I don't want to be a remote worker.
From Louisville to Frankfort?
Yeah.
I don't know. But I mean, this is probably aimed at all those people in Silicon Valley and New York and everything like that too.
How's the Wi-Fi there? In Frankfurt? Yeah, they better have a bunch of fiber ran if they're gonna
Ah, it's a good
attract a bunch of
call.
all the Zoom calls be buffering.
AT&T, Frankfurt, Kentucky. Let's see. Are they on the map? Oh, I guess I have to check.
Check back later.
No, it's like I have to sit there and like check and see if it's like in the service coverage, and I can't tell. I have to like pipe in an address or something like that. I'm not going to worry about it, but
Yeah, I mean it's a good idea. I mean, heck, you said $5,000 cash, a gift
okay, wait,
card.
hold on. So they have fiber and high-speed internet service in Frankfurt, delivering up to 5 gig speeds. So yes, they do have fiber there.
All right, well there you go. You can definitely work remote. You can be a master spreadsheeter from beautiful Franklin, Kentucky.
Frankfurt,
Or sorry, Frankfurt.
get it together. They're,
I
I
had
mean, they're,
Franklin
they're
on
not they're
my
not
mind because I'm
they're not
shipping a
sponsoring
package
this,
there
but
tonight. But um, yeah, and you can maybe see Andy Bashir or something. Walking around the Capitol. I don't know. Harlan Wheatley. You go pop into him somewhere.
something like that. I don't know. Maybe you could be a lobbyist for us on the. It's like we need a part-time lobbyist there, so you can go, you can do your day job, and then we'll 1099 you, and we'll just send you there to make sure that you can make sure NDPs are getting all the same rules and regulations that all the big boys are getting.
We'll give you T-shirts and maybe a
Half
koozie or
o-
something
half open bottles of whiskey.
and a bunch of sample bottles that I rejected.
I mean, how could you say no?
Yep. I mean, we'll come up. We don't have a root beer, so Freddie's got us beat on that.
He does. He does. But like I said, we'll give you half open bottles of whiskey, and I think you can trust us. It's not tampered with.
That's right.
But all right. Well, that's going to do it for bourbon, or actually bourbon news. But stick around. We got bourbon release news coming up. Hey everybody, bourbon release news time, and it's kind of surprising. We got a few ones to talk about here, so let's go ahead and let's dive into it. So Luxro, they're announcing two new, of Ryan's favorite word, variants into the
I do
Ezra.
love the variants
I just don't. Why don't you like the word variant?
because it just brings me back to COVID. It's like variant this, variant that, and it's like God bless. Anyways,
Yeah, true. All right, so the two new variants in the Ezra Brooks brand
see,
family.
I think we're like I need to get a new vaccine or something.
Did you get your booster?
Yeah.
All right, so you have the Ezra Brooks 99 straight rye whiskey and a newly reformulated Ezra Brooks bourbon cream. Both will reach retail shelves across the country later this month at a suggested retail price of $25 for the Ezra Brooks straight rye whiskey and $22 for the Ezra Brooks bourbon cream. The Ezra Brooks 99 straight rye whiskey has a 51% rye mash bill, and Ezra Brooks bourbon cream is still made using all natural cream and Kentucky straight bourbon, but is now bottled at 33 proof, one of the highest proof levels of any offering in the bourbon cream category.
Oh, nice. That's
Get a
like
really buzz coffee.
yeah. I do like bourbon cream. Gonna lie, I've been making espresso martinis with bourbon cream, and then instead of using vodka, and they're good, man. Like, do a shot of espresso, um, half ounce of simple syrup, bourbon cream, and then the bourbon, and an ounce of bourbon. Shake it all up with ice, strain it. It is a good drink.
Get your uppers and downers all in one drink there.
That's right. Speedball.
Let's go. I'm ready for bed.
They'll get you going. But that's a smart move by them. That's hitting. They're going to hit that on premise with those price points. Very well. 25.
Yeah.
So to a bar, that's like 12, $15. So I mean, they will crush it with those.
Yeah, the bourbon cream thing I find super interesting, and I think that's something that we should potentially think about as we continue down this path as well. Because when we talk to other producers about bourbon cream, a lot of people say that's one of their top sellers out of a gift shop.
Well, yeah,
And
Americans like sweet shit.
yeah, I know, but I mean, I don't know, because I'm not I don't really I don't drink coffee too much, so I don't really need bourbon cream. And if I was drinking coffee in the morning, I'm probably not adding bourbon cream to it anyway. I don't know. I'd love to kind of hear what people are doing with a lot of bourbon cream, if you are one of those people that are buying a lot of it, just I'm curious to kind of figure out what.
If you're a bourbon cream
It's
connoisseur,
like, are you getting buzzed every Sunday morning? Like we got to go to church.
man, it's a lot of calories to get buzzed on 33 proof
That's true.
bourbon cream. But true, I mean, really, there's not a ton of them. You know, it's like you had the Buffalo Trace one, then you had the Barton one, and then you had the Flatboat, and Hard Truth came out with theirs, which is I think that one's the best by far. I think the Hard Truth one, because it's like a maple bourbon cream, and other than that, I don't know of any other ones. So now all of a
Well, I
sudden,
mean,
next
what do you mean?
next
Everybody has a
weekend,
bourbon cream. I mean, it's there's so many people with bourbon cream out there. I mean, there's all the craft distilleries and everything like that. There's a lot of them that have it at their local gift shops.
oh well, I guess I don't go.
Sorry, I'm laughing because Nathaniel White in the comments is saying that you call it Pursuit Full Cream.
So we'll have our mix our light bourbon with our full cream for the perfect balance of light and fullness.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Let's see. Brian says bourbon cream and bourbon. I mean, I guess that would make sense. Shake it, pour it over ice, then top it with root beer.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
I've seen Freddie do that concoction. Um, that's pretty tasty. I've had that.
It's like if your bourbon cream doesn't have enough bourbon, you just add more
Oh
bourbon.
yeah, I always spike my bourbon cream. Oh, Old Elk has a bourbon cream. That's pretty
See,
good.
I told you.
Yeah,
As soon as
you're
you start
right.
thinking about it, literally everybody has one.
There's some strange name. It's like Nuku or something. Noku.
Yes, that's true.
Something.
And it came in little shot cans.
I didn't have the shotgun. I had a whole bottle. They sent me a whole bottle.
Okay, I had like a little 4 pack or 6 pack of I don't know. They were little mini shot cans of that, something like that.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I like the hard truth because it's like got the maple with the bourbon cream. It just gives it some extra like umph.
How long do
But
you
I
think
like that toasted coconut cream. That stuff's really
that is
good.
good. That is good. Hard Truth's doing something good there. What do you
Yep.
think the shelf life on something like that is? Like, can you
Ooh,
is a bourbon cream can it last like a long time?
dairies. I think it's pretty because it's.
Is it
I don't
is
know.
it pasteurized? Me
It's
anything?
pasteurized, so all the funk's been got out of there. All the bugs.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty long.
Okay.
I've had bourbon creams in my fridge and still use them. I think when we go to Hard Truth last summer,
2018. No, I'm just kidding.
I made some espresso martinis with it a couple weeks ago, and I didn't die. So
Doesn't come out in
I,
chunks.
I did have a hangover, but it wasn't because of that.
You don't know that.
Right? Maybe.
All right. Well, if we know that 33 proof is the new bar, well, let's go ahead and let's come out and let's beat that. Well, bourbon cream full proof. We'll
That's right.
70 proof bourbon cream.
High octane cream.
Yeah. You're like you just need a half a cup of coffee.
That's right.
All right.
All right.
Let's
Enough
keep going
cream.
here. Enough cream talk. Jack Daniels, they're introducing Jack Daniels Single Barrel Proof Rye Whiskey as the newest member of its single barrel collection. Available now across the U.S., Jack Daniels Barrel Proof Rye is bottled straight from the barrel and offered at proof points ranging between 125 and a staggering 145. Jack Daniels Rye Whiskey has a grain bill of 70% rye, 18% corn, and 12% malted barley. It's charcoal mellowed before aging in new, handmade American white oak barrels, and only specially selected barrels aged at the highest reaches of barrel warehouses and producing whiskey with deeper colors and flavors are selected for this single barrel collection. Jack Daniel's Single Barrel Proof Rye is available in 750 ml bottles for a suggested retail price of $60.
I do love Jack Daniel's rye whiskey. It's pretty good. But I do love the. I feel like every bourbon release is now a young author's like book. Like it's like
I
from the highest and deepest level of color, a lot of adjectives these days. It's like,
Hey, how much more embellished can you make it?
yeah, it's like, and it'll get you drunk.
I mean, I'll put it out there, y'all. Like, I am not one to be able to come up with romantic stories. So, Chat GPT does help. You start feeding it stuff, and
Oh, it's incredible.
it will help you develop these stories. And I have used it already for some press releases. I kid you not. So If you see me coming out with press releases, just know that there's some AI behind there to make all that stuff happen.
It's amazing because I know what I want to say, but like my grammar, because I'm a redneck from Bardstown, is not the best. So like when I try to articulate the whatever APT or whatever
Chat GPT.
you plug it in there and it makes it sound really polished and nice. It's I wish I had that in high school or college.
I mean, I think it's, well, you don't need that in high school or college because they're already trying to figure out ways of not being able to grade papers and trying to figure out if it's AI written and stuff like that. So that's already becoming, they're sniffing that one out
So they're going to
already.
use AI to see if it's AI.
Well, I guess kind of. But I mean, when you think about this, it's like, there's so many PR companies out there, and this is what they do. They write press releases and all this, and I'm just like,
Right? Is
oh,
it a dying industry?
I mean, I literally just go to Chat GPT and I go, hey, I've got a new bourbon release. It's got these 2 or 3, 4 different things that are new about it. Write me a press release, and it'll do it. And then I can go through and you can edit things, and it could be like, oh, the quote means this by Master Blender Ryan or whatever it is. So it's so easy to do it now.
Wait, so I didn't quote it?
No, you don't. Have you ever quoted anything in a press release?
I don't know. I don't read those things.
Yeah, you're in every single one that's come out, and it says Ryan Cecil, but I do it for you.
Oh, thank you.
If you didn't know that, that's actually how a lot of press releases are written. So when you the stuff that's coming through here, and it's like, oh, or whoever said this, like they didn't say that, like somebody wrote that. Now it might have crossed their desk and they go, checkbox, that's fine, go ahead and run with it. But yeah,
I
they're not
thought
actually, they don't actually say that. Heck no, dude. There's companies that go and for us, and if they'll go and they can have a final sign off, and maybe they might make an edit or two, but no, there's somebody that writes all this. They don't just send a message to Brent Elliott at Four Roses and say, hey, we need a quote for this new release. Like, they don't do that. Like, they write it for them.
Well, I mean, it sounds like we do that. So,
and by the way, I am putting words in the mouth. So if somebody from Four Roses wants to be like, no, he actually does it, I'll be like, okay, fine, he might actually do it. But that's typically the way PR companies
or they could be
work.
like, yeah, we use Chat GPT too.
We were using that 2 years ago. All right, here we go. Keep going. So Kentucky Senator Bourbon is set to unveil its 4th release of Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey, and this one's named after U.S. Senator John Sherman Cooper of Somerset in Pulaski County. Aged 8 years, this bourbon is 107 proof with a mash bill of 75% corn.
Was that how long he
21%.
was in office?
Yeah, I don't know. Could be. 75-21-4. And Kentucky Senator Spirits will distribute approximately 1,000 bottles of this 2023 limited edition small batch bourbon to be sold at a suggested retail price of $135.
No way. Get out of here.
Yep.
How
8
old?
years. 8
Oh,
years.
it's 8 years. Okay. All right. But still,
Because you're trying to be like, wait, we've got some 75-21-4, and it's like 4 years old.
yeah. Guess that. I wish things would go back to like the $10 a year. I think that's fair. But
I mean, it's not too far off. Well, I mean, this
sure.
is far off. This is far off. I'm saying in your thought process, no, it is good. And I'm pretty sure that was Willett that really set that standard when you used to go and get a 9-year for $90, and you're like, well, okay, that's fine.
But now it's 25 a year or something.
That's 2,500.
Yeah. I do like these bottles. The because they got the senator, they got other things right too. Like gosh, what's the other one they do? It's all political names.
It's just senators, isn't it?
I thought
Just
they had-
Kentucky senators.
maybe
I mean, it doesn't
is.
really have a big reach outside of Kentucky. And to be honest, it doesn't really have a big reach outside of, I don't know,
Frankfurt?
unless Frankfurt, maybe even, yeah, maybe if
Here's
you move
another-
there.
Here's another attraction. You get 8-year Senator Bourbons for.
Yeah. So if you do get to relocate there, maybe you can
So I
school
guess
us
the
on all the
Senate,
senators.
are they U.S. senators or Kentucky state senators?
I don't know. It just it says named after U.S. Senator John Sherman.
Oh, well then he's a U.S. senator. Okay.
Yes. Yeah. A little bit higher up then.
Yeah.
All right. Let's keep going. I know we talked about this on the roundtable, which will be released next week. So if you're looking to see some more hot takes, go ahead and go over there. So Marianne Eaves is introducing Forbidden, and it's called the spirits industry's first white corn and white winter wheat expression of bold Kentucky bourbon. Inspired by Southern cooking, Forbidden is the culmination of nearly a decade of work by Eaves to capture the essence of an elegant mature bourbon achieved by non-traditional low-temperature fermentation. The first release of Forbidden is a small batch, hand blended 5-year-old bourbon bottled at 95.2 proof. Distilled, aged, and bottled at Bardstown Bourbon Company by Marianne Eaves, Forbidden will be available initially in these states of Kentucky, Tennessee, Georgia, and South Carolina, or online at bourbonoutfitter.com. The first release will include a highly allocated number of hand-blended bottles along with 3 single-barrel cask-strength expressions. The small batch is currently on pre-sale for $130. You want to open up a can of worms?
I think this is the one. This is something they put in Chat GPT and didn't fact check it.
You'd be like, we should edit this out just a
We
little
should
bit.
at least do the timeline and ask a few questions. Okay, but they forgot to check the timelines. I do have a few questions about this. I'm sure it's good stuff. Bardstown obviously makes great whiskey. We love them, and but wasn't Marianne at Castle and Key? And if it's 5 years old, that would be 2017, right?
Uh,
Like,
2017,
well, 28,
correct?
2020, because I think it's 5.5 years old.
Correct.
And so,
And in May of 2019 is when she announced her departure from Castle and Key.
okay, so all right, so there's I'm not speculating anything. I'm just curious why the discrepancy there. And then B, I'm pretty sure I know of others that have done white corn, and like one comes to mind is Lisa Wicker, who's done very similar things for years.
You remember
And
we released a Pursuit series
yeah,
with
we
Finger
had
Lakes that was white
Finger
corn.
Lakes, and in the praise it says Kentucky bourbon, whatever, but people have been using white corn and whatever wheat they said for years. And so I'm just like, okay, well, I just want some explanations on this. But we
Mhm.
probably won't get them, and that's fine.
We won't. And then you've heard on the show before Alan Bishop. He put something out there on Facebook that did kind of call this out a little bit, talking about the low temperature fermentation. He said like that's not groundbreaking, that's not earth shattering, that's been around forever. And he basically kind of said what we have been saying, that this is just a hock full of just marketing mumbo jumbo inside here.
Yeah, how about back in the day when they didn't have heaters and coolers and it was a cool day and they're like, that's a low temperature fermentation.
It is what it is. It's February.
Or that's what they had growing was that white corn, next to them. I don't know. This is a little it's unnecessary. Marianne's very talented. She's a great blender, has done great products. It just seems a little too far fetched and unnecessary, in my opinion, for to just push it to this level of trying to make it this special and unique. And I'm sure the product's great and it's good, but I don't know. It just feels like things have gone too far. This is like one of those ones where I just need some answers on.
I just don't get why it's called forbidden.
Right. Like, why do you want it to be
What's so
forbidden?
forbidden about it? Like I don't
Is
know.
it supposed to be like Adam and Eve? Like, don't eat that tree, the fruit from that tree? Like,
Yeah, that I don't know. You're right. More questions come up about it, but it definitely leaves a lot of, like I said, open to interpretation on some other things. But I guess we'll have to wait and see what it tastes like. That's when it's going to come down to see if. And this is the hard part. 95.2 proof at $130. So we'll have to see if it stands up to that and if it's going to continue to be able to be a seller. Because I mean, if we look at she was very much involved with Sweetens Cove. That's what Sweetens Cove did. They came out, they had some $250 thing out of the gate. And then what happened?
Dickel stuff. Yep.
Yep. And then about what, a year and a half later, like, well, pull it back. We need something that's a lot cheaper. And so they came out, I think, in like the sub 75 category or something like that. So
Yeah, I mean, hell, you can go get Kentucky Senator 8 year for $130, same. So do them side by side.
there you go. All Bardstown Bourbon Company.
That's right. Um,
But I don't know. I
yeah.
mean, I will say though, when we'd had the Finger Lakes white corn, it did taste pretty damn good. But that was a
Oh yeah.
white corn and rye. This is a white corn and wheat. And as somebody else had put in the comments, is Nathan? He says, "Is this just a 2 grain?" Maybe. That's all it really says. I would
I don't
imagine
think so. No,
you
because it's
need
two
some
different
malted
mash
barley.
bills,
Well, you wait. It's
right?
2 different mash bills.
I thought it was two
No,
different mash bills blended together, right?
no.
No.
I think it's just a. It says white corn and white winter wheat. Now, that would you could have 2 grains and that still be fine. But typically, you need malted barley in there to provide enzymes to help break it down and stuff like that, right? Right,
Right.
Master Distiller.
Well, you
So
don't have to have that, but it helps for sure.
yeah,
Um, because you don't have to have that because you have, Wood and Bill doing like 100% rise and stuff like that. But so you don't have to have the barley there, but it does definitely help
okay,
break down those sugars.
there we go. It's already paying dividends, that Moonshine University.
That's right. 5 day certificate.
All right, here we go. Our last one. So for the first time, Jim Beam is bringing its 227 years of whiskey making expertise and excellence to the American single malt whiskey category with the launch of Clermont Steep. And this has been developed by Freddie No, eighth generation master distiller of the Fred B. No Distillery. And this venture into an emerging category explores the full potential of a single grain, American malted barley. With little to no definition in the American single malt category, No developed his own defining guidelines, making intentional production choices to celebrate the flavor of this single grain at every step of development. Clermont Steep is a 5-year-old liquid distilled and aged in Clermont, Kentucky, and matured in bespoke barrels. Clermont Steep is a whiskey steeped in influence from both process and place. Just as single malt couldn't exist without steeping the grain, the whiskey couldn't exist without Clermont, Kentucky, the soul, the place of Jim Beam, and the heartland of American distilling culture. No and his team hand selected the American malted barley for the mash and used Beam family jug yeast in the natural fermentation process. It's the same yeast that is used in all Beam products, adding a sense of familiarity in every sip. The single malt was then distilled on a column still and aged for 5 years in barrels that were toasted, then quickly charred to a char level of 1. The launch of Clermont Steep marks a
Mm,
significant milestone in the American whiskey landscape as Jim Beam, the world's largest producer of bourbon, takes a stake in the rapidly growing segment that has yet to be fully explored. This will be available beginning in June of 2023. It's 94 proof and has a price tag of $60.
very interesting. You know,
Mm-hmm.
because
We
we're
might have to come
always
around to
like,
this. Like we might have to just start sucking up and be like, this might be a thing now.
well, if we can find something that I think tastes good, give me, I'm all for it. But I've yet to find many single malts where I'm like, hell yeah, this is what I want to drink all the time.
What if we
Uh,
put it in a sherry barrel? Was that
what if
okay
we put
then?
in a cream,
There you go.
single malt cream?
Oh my God, you're right. That's what we're missing. Like, who needs bourbon cream? We can do single malt cream.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Fred's used some single malt whiskeys in some of his little books. So I'm not surprised by this, and it seems to be like a growing trend. I don't know that it'll necessarily be a like. I don't think it'll necessarily like be the next big thing by any means. I think it's just like a fun like another expression they can capture another segment of the market because like in Colorado, I mean they absolutely love single malts in rye whiskey, and they like bourbon, but not as much as those two. But so there's certain part of the countries I think single malt definitely appeals to.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think the cool thing about this is that for us, we've been seeing this because we've been so laser focused on bourbon. Just now, kind of seeing the rise of this probably in the past 6 months to maybe a year and a half. But I mean, there's somebody inside of those walls that kind of saw this happening 5, 6, 7 years ago and said we should probably go ahead and start thinking about this. And so they're, like I said, they're a bit ahead of the curve on it. So it's really good to see that. And I think you're going to see a lot of the bigger distillers come out inside of this category just because it's I mean, it's not, you're not hedging your bets on it, but you're spreading your risk. Like they have the ability, you can create one of everything if they want to, so they might as well do it and just take up more product space on the shelf.
Yeah, there's definitely a market out there for it, so that's why they're doing it. And brands like even just like Stranahan's and you know what's the one Westward,
Westland, Westward, yeah, it's a West. I know that.
yeah, they grown in popularity, so there's definitely a mind share out there to grab. Just don't know if it's as big, but it's definitely a market out there for it. So, and somebody's had to be producing this for a while because Rare Character has Kentucky single malts that are like 17 years old. So I have a feeling Beam or somebody's been doing this for a while. So
They were like, all right, get rid of this crap, and then all of a sudden they're like, wait,
like, oh, no,
bring
no,
it back,
no,
bring
no, we need it back.
bring it back, bring it back, bring it back.
Pablo
Yeah.
put in a cool ass bottle and selling it like crazy. We need to create our own. Dude, Pablo's. I'll, I gotta give a shout out to Pablo, man. He is like done with the Amberana thing and this single malt, Kentucky single malt. He's got big companies doing what he came out with. That's fast. That's amazing. Shout out to Pablo, Rare Character. That's awesome.
We got to get him on the podcast. Well, let's see if we can.
do. With
Let's
his
go ahead and
traveling and suitcase.
Yeah, let's add him to the next round of interviews. We actually had that. Plus, I got a message from the president of the American Single Malt Whiskey Association, and so we're probably going to do that, and we'll talk single malts. We'll give it a go.
Which is strange because I hate Amberana and single malts, but it is fascinating. And
From a business standpoint.
from a business standpoint, how he was smart enough and saw this opportunity. So good job, Pablo.
For sure, for sure. And then shout out to Nathaniel White in the chat. He goes, "You just got Pursuit Amberana American Single Malt Market Cornered."
Then honey and name it a Brazilian country, and you're good.
Yes.
Or not country, city.
it was like Brazil is the country.
I know. Whatever. And then
Chile. Chile.
Chat
How about that?
GBT let me down.
There you go.
And then say it was the first, I don't know, distilled something, and now it's forbidden in Brazil. $150.
This is illegal in 50 countries.
Yeah. You can't have this single malt, and I'm right now.
All right, that's going to do it for this week in bourbon. Cheers, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Toodles.
And thanks, everybody in the chat.